Hi everyone! Thank you for joining me today to learn more about my essay De la Guerre à la Politique, which means From War to Politics in French. My name is Evie Gentile and I'm a sophomore in the college majoring in French and government, and I wrote this research paper for a final project as part of my French 250 class in the fall semester of 2019. My French 250 class focused on France's role in World War I and World War II, so for our final essay, we were required to combine two main themes from our work that semester and create our own unique argument to interpret this history. I decided to look at the intersection of politics and war by examining the political activity of veterans from World War I and the interwar years. My research led me to examine political extremism among veterans, and I became especially interested in how these political groups came to shape veterans' memories of the war. For me, it was most interesting to consider how a political group can have so much influence on an individual that their memory and conceptualization of key events begin to change. This power seemed especially worthy of more research because it has implications for how political groups may influence today's veterans and potentially provoke extremism. In this paper, I examined two politically extreme groups that were influential during the interwar years in France, Les Croix de Feu, which means the fire crosses, and L'Association Républicaine des Anciens Combattants, which means the Republican Veterans Association. After researching both of these groups, I settled on my argument that despite the opposing ideologies of these two political associations, both Les Croix de Feu and l'Irak transformed the way that veterans conceptualized their service in World War I. As a result, both groups adopted extreme ideologies that led their adherents to participate in radical political activities. I'll give you a brief example here to demonstrate how extreme political groups shaped veterans' memories in the interwar years. L'Association Républicaine des Anciens Combattants is a left-wing veterans group that was created in 1917 and which continues to operate today. This group adapted veterans' conception of their service in World War I in order to foster extreme political activity. They did this by rejecting the claim that veterans' service in the war was honorable. Instead, they underscored the evils of war and veterans' memories. The propaganda from l'Irak cites the barbarism of the battlefields, the class divisions evident at the front, and even claimed that the title of veteran does not confer any special right to him who has the misfortune of carrying it. Because the members of l'Irak thus came to understand their service in terms of the evil of the war, they began to adopt ideologies oriented towards a disruption of the social order that led France to war in the first place. For instance, this led l'Irak to adopt Marxist ideologies that disputed the honor associated with soldiers, instead forging an alliance among soldiers and workers, as both groups were merely cannon fodder. This rhetoric helped L'Association Républicaine to advocate for the elimination of classes and a revolution in France similar to those in Russia and Hungary. From this example, we can see how alterations of memory can incite extreme political behavior among veterans. Finally, I'd like to briefly touch on the implications of this study for predicting and managing post-war political environments and for preventing veteran participation in extremist political groups in the future. Through this study, I was surprised to learn that regardless of which extreme of the political spectrum French veterans engaged with in the interwar period, these veterans came to support the same ideologies of anti-parliamentarism and anti-militarism. These ideologies formed the basis for their calls to reorganize society to afford veterans a higher value in the post-war world. And as we've seen, these groups even modified veterans' memories and understandings of the war to promote this type of extreme, socially reformist rhetoric. As a result, we should consider ways that we can offer veterans more opportunities to succeed in the existing social order following a war, so as to prevent them from being susceptible to politically extreme ideologies that call for violence or social revolution. Therefore, we should expand our veterans programs and invest more in economic and social opportunities for veterans immediately following their return from war. By taking these preventative measures, we can better manage the post-war political environment and more effectively honor the people who made significant sacrifices for their country during times of war. And to conclude, I wanted to thank Professor Saubinet for his mentorship and support as I wrote this essay. Professor Saubinet helped me to clarify my thesis, steered me towards effective research material, and offered generous feedback on several versions of my essay outline. And thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed my presentation and can think more about the implications for investing in social programs for veterans.